What's going on, people? So, I want to go ahead and talk about this whole Bill Cosby trial and sentencing and why black men need to stay away from white women in particular. And for the most part, we need to stay away from American women in general. Now, so let's go into it, people. So with this sentencing, right? One thing we have to understand is one of the reasons that he was able to get convicted as he did is one, Bill Cosby wasn't able to recuse his judge. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Pennsylvania is actually the only state in the union that has no constitutional or statutory provisions for recusal, right? And so this it's 100% at the judge's discretion. So if the judge had any type of biases or prejudices towards Mr. Cosby, there was nothing he would be able to do about that. So let's talk about it and call it what it is. His conviction at the end of the day was pretty much based on sensationalism. I mean, it was a witch hanging and a travesty of justice. Let me be clear. Bill Cosby is definitely a sexual deviant, a sexual miscreant, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of things he did, may not be moral to some people, et cetera, et cetera. But at the end of the day, the man has, to my knowledge, based on the accusations, has never raped anyone, and he has never drugged anyone without their permission or consent. When you look at the actual deposition for Mr. Cosby, he did admit to drugging women. He did admit to drugging women, but he admitted to drugging women at their request. Let me repeat that. He did admit to drugging women, but he admitted to drugging women at their request and with their consent. In one instance during the deposition, it was giving a woman a quaalude, and in the other instance, it was giving a woman Benadryl, which they accepted at their own free will, right? These women accepted this at their own free will. So now, where the sensationalism comes in is because you have a lot of people with the Me Too movement. You have a lot of feminists in particular, and a lot of women in general that are just ignorant of the facts. They're going based off of what they believe. They're going off of emotion. They're not going off of the actual facts and details of the case. And it may be the same thing with the actual jury, right? And that's the problem here. And also, so let's talk about the verdict, right? He was found guilty on three counts of aggravated indecent assault. Aggravated indecent assault. So what is let's go ahead and look up exactly what that is. So, according to the Pennsylvania Code Title 18, aggravated indecent assaults are defined as committing against a person who does not consent. The person does so the person has substantial complaints about powers by administering drugs, or intoxicated individuals. Right? So it's talking about the absence of consent, or someone that is intoxicated or what have you. It is someone that engages in penetration, however slight, of the genitals or anus of a complainant with part of the body for any purpose other than face medical, hygienic, or law enforcement. A person does so without the complainant's consent. The person does so by forcible compulsion. The person does so by threat of forcible compulsion that will prevent resistance by a person of reasonable resolution. The complainant is unconscious, or the person knows the complainant is unaware if the penetrating occurred. The person is impaired without the knowledge of drugs, intoxicants, or other means. The complainant suffers from mental disability. The complainant is less than 13 years of age. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff. So mainly they're talking about, right, with these women is that they were the stipulations they talk about these women is that they were intoxicated without the knowledge of the complainant. And so the travesty and justice comes in where these women were drugged, but it was within their knowledge. It was with their consent. So that's where the travesty of justice comes into play, right? And so on one hand, you have black men, a lot of black men who didn't support Cosby, and rightfully so, based on over the years how he's attacked us and told us that we're never going to be the thing if we don't pull our pants up, and all of these boule black elitist slash white supremacist talking points, right? But the problem comes in is that Bill Cosby is basically setting the precedence for the average day black man, is what we don't understand. So now you're going to have a situation where black men could be accused and without any evidence. And even if we deal with women who are under the influence of drugs, who we give drugs with their consent, we will possibly be convicted of a particular crime. And the reason I say this about the drug thing is because a lot of people don't know that in party culture, and particularly in Hollywood culture, it is very normal for people to have sex and to have drugs involved. It is very normal for women and men to take drugs together, like ecstasy or Molly or any type of drugs, cocaine, anything of that nature. Is very normal in that culture for women to take drugs with consent, as well as the men. And so this will be an issue now. So now that we understand that, Bill Cosby, is pretty much the first man to be taken down of power, and understand how that's going to have an effect on the average everyday black man. Now, never mind that you have all of these white men and white women that are, with underage children and are doing the same things and worse things that Bill Cosby is doing it, but aren't getting the same penalties. Never mind that. Like, I'm not even going to go too deep on that, because to me that doesn't really matter in the sense of, it's just, it makes sense. The fact that they run this country, it makes sense that they wouldn't actually seek justice upon those people. Now, my suggestion is for black men is to really 100% fall back from white women in America. Like, just really Leave white women alone. Don't deal with them. Don't mess with them in no type of way sexually. Don't even be alone with white women. Have some type of buddy system going on where you can have you and another woman at least that's with you and her. So let's just completely stop dating white women, and let's really, to be honest with you, we need to take extra precaution when dating American women in general, because they can still, even though they're not white women, they can still use that same Me Too strategy. They're gonna be backed and supported by the Me Too movement. Let's just take precaution, make sure that we're getting consent, and let's primarily look at dealing with women outside of America that aren't as vindictive as American Western women, that aren't as willing to make false accusations and false claims against you as a man. Because at the end of the day, the precedence has been set with Bill Cosby, and the same actual patterns, the same actual strategy will be used to destroy, Black American men's lives. So let's fall back from white women, specifically, in particular, and in general. Let's limit the type of American women that we deal with. Let's not deal with white women at all. Let's not deal with misandrists. We ought to look at white women and misandrists the same way that we look at pedophiles. Like, we're not going to deal with them at all. That goes for the black feminists, or the misandrists, the black anti-black male misandrists who are using the black feminist label as a sort of shield and a sort of disguise and mask. Let's do away with all them and not deal with them at all. Get your passports up. So let's start traveling to Africa, countries in Africa, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Brazil, Honduras, and all of these countries where we have high black populations. Cuba, Bahamas, Jamaica, etc., etc. All right, so that's my 2 cents on the whole Bill Cosby thing and dealing with white women. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit the subscribe, like. Peace.